Hi and welcome to Radio 2 in conversation with the Rolling Stones. Myself, Jo Whiley and Mr Huey Morgan were given special access to the Stones as they prepare for their big live shows on the forthcoming tour. Charlie is feeling a little bit poorly on the day, but we did get to speak to Ronnie Wood, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger. Enjoy. Right, we're here then.
Yes,
it's
here we
all
are.
happening. The 50th anniversary tour is
Yeah.
happening. A quote that you've said, every time you go out there, you're putting yourself on the line. So you're putting yourself on the line in a big way with these four
Now
huge
I'm getting really
shows.
nervous. Cancel the whole bloody thing.
You know, there have been some amazing tours over the past few years,
Yeah.
whether it's U2, whether it's Coldplay. This last year, Coldplay have done some great live shows. And you've got to kind of either beat that or match up to that.
I don't think people are really gonna. They don't compare as much as you think. I don't think people, because they're not. It's not the same people that go to the same concerts. Some of them, yes. But I mean, how many of the people that go to the Rolling Stones have been to the Coldplay to even to compare it? But,
Have you got butterflies? That's what I want to know. I mean,
no, I never
not
get
butterflies.
butterflies, but you know, you have to work very hard to make any kind of concert. And when I said that quote, it's quite true. Every time you go on stage, I mean, the first time of the tour, even if it's the 35th one, you still. There's no kind of resting on your laurels. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that's not an option. So you just go out there and you know, do your best and you prepare as well as you can. It's a lot of it's to do with the prep. You know, you go prepared, and you play to your strengths, and you try and ignore your weaknesses.
Are you having fireworks?
Second thoughts?
Or no, second.
Are
Are you having second thoughts? To be honest with you,
Fireworks, I don't think. It's an arena show. It's not. You know, a stadium show. In a stadium show, really, the way I think of stadium shows is it has to be like a massive show, because you can't really see that much. You have to have the most massive video. You have to have lots of stuff like to draw your attention and keep the whole thing going. I mean, to me, an arena show, if it's a good arena, is relatively intimate. So you're able to hold the audience, hopefully, without any kind of gimmicks. I mean, of course, it'd be fun to have a few, but it's not really about that to me.
There's a vague idea at the moment that we start with some really early records, you know, a couple of 2 or 3 songs from like really the early days, you know, and you know, that's really like pulling the strings. And you realize that, hey, this isn't a new song to me, basically, you know. I mean, you get into it and everybody's playing and you're going, this is amazing. I mean, this could be like almost a new song, you know. Even Lennon and McCartney wrote us one, right? John and Paul flogged us a song, "Wanna Be Your Man," which we've never played on stage, you know, before. So we started working in rehearsals, you know, like, wow, you know, this is, and so one thing leads to another, and suddenly you're coming up with a new song from. So I can't believe that John and Paul actually poured that snow job on us.
With the shows that are coming up and things like that, I imagine that when it gets down to it, you guys in the dressing room, it's just the band. And it's always just kind of going to be just the band.
Yeah, there's always that feeling, you know, when you've got the band in one room.
That's the gang.
There's Mick, you know, I'm here, you know, there's Ron, there's Charlie, you know. Okay, where's, you know, and you realize that that really is it. You know, you're always looking for the magic ingredient. You realize that it's there between yourselves. It's already in the room. But he doesn't have a name. We don't pay him nothing. Everybody has different ways of, you know. Some people get nervous. I mean, to me, it's always felt like let the tiger out of the cage. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, this is what I was built for, this is what I'm made for, and you know, I'm ready to roar.
Now, I wanted to ask you, because I'm a new dad, about family. And from what I've read about you and talked to a lot of people who kind of know you, family is really important to you. And it was something that a lot of people don't really kind of take into consideration, that, you know, family, it comes first for you.
Families, I mean, let's face it, we all come from one. You know, you have a mum and a dad, and then you grow up, and suddenly you've got kids. Of course, family is important. It's a very important thing. I tell you what, the interesting thing is to watch how they actually grow up. You know, I mean, this is like one of those things you sit back and watch. You know, and they go bum bum bum, and they get more interesting, and especially when they walk and talk. You know.
Yeah, I got the walking and the dad.
I've got grandkids. Right? I mean, one's just starting to walk, and everything goes up 3 feet. You know?
Like, oh, all the guitars are off the ground now, right?
She wants to know what's on Daddy's table. I say, forget about it. You know.
Because I remember I was watching the Exile on Main Street doc, and the one thing I thought was really great was they were saying that in the mornings you'd spend the whole day with the family, and then you go in the studio.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, not to say that you have a reputation, but people always, oh, keep this, keep that. But you were always there for the family, and I thought that was something that, you know, as you know, a new father, like I was saying, it's like a man. You're a real man doing that.
There's no point in being a dad without, you know, you have to grow into the role, sort of thing. I mean, it's not that you know, suddenly there's kids, you know, I mean, I love you too, darling. And you go, wow, you know, I got to take care of this thing, you know, I mean, especially like given my situation at the time, you know, or anybody who's been a dad or a mum knows what it's like. You know, there it is, and it's the most lovable thing in the world, and you know, and you want to like bring it up right without, at the same time, you've got to deal with all of the stuff that's going on around you, and you're trying to shelter them, and but you don't. You do the best you can. If you're going to have kids, then you know, I like, you know, if I take on a job, I like to do it right, you know. And I mean, kids basically straighten me out. You know, they snap to, boy. You know, there's you have responsibilities here, and I never really worked on it as a parent or anything. It's just like, this is what is expected of you. You're respectful to other people. You know, you say thank you, and you say please and stuff like that. You know, and you're polite to everybody. You know, you don't go around, especially it's been, you know, the child of a star. I think the last thing I want to bring up is some brat. You know, I mean, they're not allowed to be brats.
Your dad was famously quite disciplinarian and quite strict with you, I think, and also was very keen about educating you.
Yeah, I mean, but all fathers were strict then. You know, I mean, he wasn't the strictest father. I had friends whose fathers were far worse.
But are you like that with your own children? Are you quite strict, and do you like them to kind of, you know, keep the rooms tidy, and do you want them to experience things around the world? Yeah.
The thing is about children is just teaching them how to be independent and look after themselves. You know, and that's the challenge. That's what the whole idea of it is, that they're helpless at the beginning, and then as they go on and they learn to feed themselves even. And it's hard sort of letting go as a parent of that. And that's one of the problems, of actually the parent's problem, you know, is letting go of the child to some extent. But
did you struggle with that with the?
No, not really. But it is one of the.
Obviously, you did, because you wouldn't have said that.
No, the thing is though, it is a problem more oftentimes for a mother than it is for. It depends for a father sometimes. So it can be obviously a problem for a father too. But it is about eventually, you know. Teaching children to be completely independent, but then, you know, it's nice to have those ties so they can rely on each other, and they can always, you know, rely on me, and I can hopefully rely on them.
You've always said that you're a born performer, that, you know, it doesn't scare you, which is, I find, extraordinary, but you just absolutely love performing. Are any of your children shown those traits? My
eldest son, James, hi James, is in a band called Turbogeist, which I don't want to kind of put it in a sort of niche, but if it was pushed to put it in a niche, is thrash metal with an English sense of humour. But it's a good band. That's my only child that's actually on stage.
And did that worry you when you wanted to be in a band? Is it the last thing that you'd want them to be, performers, musicians, or?
No, I wouldn't say it was the last thing you want them to be, but
it worries you, I'd imagine.
It doesn't worry me. I mean, he's quite old enough to be looking after himself, but.
I know, but you always want to protect your children. You never want them to.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he enjoys it, it's great.
Do you buy records in record shops these days?
No, I do not buy records in record shops, unless there is a very good record shop now called Amoeba, which has all the latest records as a record. as a vinyl, as a whatever.
Yeah. I'm impressed you remember the name.
But one of your mates just told me. But I remembered it began with A, but I can't remember that. But no, I mean, I buy things online, really.
Do you love technology? Are you
I love technology. Steve Jobs was the first person that gave me a computer, and it was an Apple Mac, and I still got it. It doesn't really work, but
It's in the museum at home.
It's a museum, and he was like going around New York, going to famous people's houses and giving them an Apple Mac, so that they kind of, you know, would get involved in it. Because there was nothing much to do with it, because the language was DOS, and it was like impossibly difficult to do anything with, and you couldn't send it to anyone. You had to put it on floppies. You remember that?
Yeah.
And then you could give it to your mates. So look what I've done at home, and then you give it to them, and they would put the hard drive or floppy drive or whatever it was. You know, so, and it was a bit, really, to be honest, pretty useless and very time consuming.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have to go like, okay, you've got to play your guitar now.
Yeah, because otherwise you just sit there.
Yeah, well, you just sit there.
Listen to
Otherwise,
them.
you just sit there. There's always something else to do.
Do you make playlists up ever? Do you?
Yeah, because I do playlists. Yeah,
What
I do
kind of
playlists
playlists?
for parties and events, and you know.
I love doing that. Don't you?
Yeah,
I think
it's fun. I used to do playlists when we had records. You know,
Yeah.
it took
Well,
forever then.
mixtapes.
Yeah, it's just mixtapes, but that was very long involved. I used to do them for parties, like, you know, I don't know, when I was in my teens. You know, on cassettes or whatever.
Yeah, likewise. It's the DJ in you then.
I guess a guy who's an artist in general, a musician with artistic expression, like doing paintings and things like that. You've been doing it for a long time.
I'm painting on a big scale, big 10-foot canvases and stuff. I'm doing some stuff for the Stones' 50th. The real anniversary is next year, so I've got plenty of time to make my ammunition, build my artillery of paintings up. And in Paris, I'm doing the storyboards, I call it, of the songs that we played.
Oh, yeah?
You know.
Oh, so like who's who and what's what happening?
November the 12th, you know, start with blah, blah, champagne and reefer. And then we go on to, you know, it's all over now. And then we might play that. Whatever we play is all listed.
I also want to talk to you about books, because like yourself, I read a lot. But I want to know what your favorite book is, for instance.
Oh,
Or what you're reading now. Or
I just finished Napoleon's Diary, you know, which is incredibly edited, and you know, and this cat was keeping a lot under the carpet. You know, I mean, it was interesting about it was that he's in, you know, he's on. They've already got him on the island. He's in jail. For, let's face it. You know, what I mean, what you can read between the lines is what interests me about books. Sometimes it's not what's actually being said. It's like,
what's not?
well, yeah, you know, you understand, you know. And to me, I don't know, words are incredible things. I mean, I write songs, right? And it's how to play around with the English language, which is incredibly bendable.
Yeah.
You know, and it's probably the most bendable language. You can say that's bad and mean it's good, and everybody knows what you mean, you know. But you can't do it in French or Italian or Portuguese, you know. You can probably do other things in those languages, but I'm not that fluent, you know, let alone Mandarin.
I also want to talk to you about the blues, and I was talking to
that's
Tom
a different
Paley.
subject.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a totally different subject. I remember the first time I heard a riff, a guitar riff, and it was Satisfaction, and I lost it. And I went home and I ripped off the low E string of my acoustic guitar and tuned to an open G and still couldn't do it.
No, because that one was actually a classic tune. But at the same time, I know what you mean. Hey, guitars and tunings, that's for us to know and other people to wonder about, really. You know, I mean, what does it matter whether you got 5 or 6 strings? It's are you getting out of that thing what you're hearing in your head, and is it coming out the right way? I'm still trying to figure out some tunings as a Blind Willie McTell's, you know, I mean. These cats, I mean, they were tuning
while they were playing.
It's what's coming out is the important thing, you know. I mean, it's the rest of it's a dark secret.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pry. As a student of the blues myself, you know, you were my introduction to it. So going from you back down the line was a really
I
interesting.
understand. I mean, that was the whole point, I think. And the Rolling Stones, when they started, were like fanatically idealistic. I mean, that other people should know about the blues, and if we can just make a small contribution to letting people know that there is this music out there that is fascinating. It's black, and it comes basically from Africa, you know, originally, and how it integrated with society in America, and how it turned us all on. I think the blues was, it reminded white people that there's something else in the bones than being white.
Yeah, I agree with you there. When I listen to the blues, they always say it's a good man feeling bad, and when I listen to the Stones, I always feel it's you know, there's a swagger there that's the blues swagger.
I mean, a lot of musicians are scared of the blues, you know, because it's sort of this very murky area. You know, which can put off a lot of musicians if they want to be like pure musicians. I mean, it's like, it doesn't quite fit the pattern. You can't really put it on paper.
Yeah.
You know, and it don't look good on paper. You know? At the same time, I mean, there's something that resonating within yourself, and I will do my, you know, poor little best to sort of turn on other people to this stuff, and then maybe they'll listen to Muddy Waters and they'll listen to Robert Johnson and sort of kind of get it. With the blues, there's a way of expressing things that you really can't do any other way, and then you've got to go in there and go to the crossroads and meet the devil. You know?
It's look him in the eye. Tell him we're going to the 5 now.
He only has one, by the way.
You mentioned that there's a way you and him, Keith, play together. So there's definitely a way
The
you guys
ancient
do.
form of weaving.
Yeah, indeed. That's, I think, what you called it.
When I was there in 1975 in Montauk at Andy Warhol's place, when we first were rehearsing, when Keith and I used to just rehearse with no sleep, you know, it was, I did like 300 songs and had all these different chord sequences going around in my head, and I'd never played any of the songs before, even though I was a big fan of the Stones' music.
The Stones have a unique sound altogether. It's just because it's I guess a combination of things that you can't explain that just happen.
Yeah.
And I was talking.
It's difficult to do a new song in this day and age for the Stones, but it's simple and it's rough and ready.
No, well, that's kind of what you guys are. I mean,
I
you've
think
always
Mick
been
did a lovely job presenting the doom and gloom to us, and Keith did a lovely job with the One More Shot. You know, and I thought I'd leave it to those two to see where it's going to come from, because they're the essence of the songwriting, and that's it. And once they start creating, it's a bit like when this band goes on the road. When that wheel starts turning,
inertia.
It ain't gonna stop.
So I mean, how long did it take for you guys to get the rehearsals down? Or was it like a thing where you got together with Keith and then?
Well, another thing we say to each other is, luckily, it all came flooding back. That's what happens. We are blessed with the songs all going, well, that was pretty painless.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can do it again tomorrow, you know. And sure enough, we did it. It's a pretty good song. That's another thing we were saying lately. There's been a lot more focus. It's not a bad song, you know.
Yeah, that Brown Sugar song is pretty good. Yeah, I like that one.
Even songs like that you'd think would just fall off the bat. Yeah. They are forever a poser to get the feel and the right dynamics and the colour, the light and shade, and you know, you've got to concentrate, and it's a feel.
When you joined the band, you kind of like felt like you were joining a family. And how's the family? You know, how's everybody doing?
I think as tight now as before my days as a member. I mean, when they were first got together, they were a tight bunch of guys, you know, like in a room, working out how we're going to deal with this thing, how we're going to go from covering other people's songs to writing our own, and let's put our heads together and get some riffs. We're kind of like that now. Keith and I were up in his room yesterday, and we were coming up with a couple of little chat phrases, you know, writing things down and da-da-da. After 5 minutes, Keith said, we've got a song already, look. Okay, you know, and we go, right, okay. But that's what's happening all the time.
As a fan, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys play.
Yeah, me too. It's got some great surprises up our sleeves.
So for any Stones fan out there, this is going to be an event, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I want to thank you for hanging out and talking to me, man.
Great,
It's always
man.
good to see you. My man, Ronnie Wood.
Nice to see you.